middle of the night.
Hey guys.
When the angels scream, I don't want to live a life I believe. This is the story.
It was a really honor to have all these matches against Roger.
It's been amazing playing him. It's been over 10 years that our rivalry has been going on, and I played him when he was so young still.
I will never forget.
All my life, I practiced to play these kind of matches, to enjoy these moments. You know, drama, long matches, emotional moments. I love to be part of this.
I go back to when I used to be a kid playing against the wall, playing mixed with my parents. I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would be this successful. I'm still hungry today, and I still have the fire.
And the story goes on.
Welcome to the Australian Open 2014, presented by Franklin Templeton Investments.
In our Franklin Templeton Investments featured matchup tonight, the 33rd meeting between #1 in the world, Rafael Nadal, and the 17-time Grand Slam champion, Roger Federer. It's the men's semifinals of the 2014 Australian Open. Currently right now on Rod Laver Arena, Sara Errani and Vinci a 3-set win in the championship of the ladies doubles final, taking a victory lap. In the meantime, there's a bit of roofgate going on. The roof of Rod Laver Arena semi-shut, and they're struggling to open it. They are going to give it a try, but we haven't seen it move in quite some time.
They're telling us it's supposed to be open, but right now it's about 90% closed. And if it stays like that, that will dramatically affect because it's cool conditions and windy tonight.
It is. It's a very cool evening, well into the 50s, high 50s by the time we start this match. Hi, everyone. Chris McKendry with Brad Gilbert. And this match is so special. This rivalry has defined this era, and it goes back a way. We just saw wonderful vignettes throughout their years in the Grand Slam, Brad, and you listen to them reflect now with the perspective of a veteran, but still the hunger of a rookie between these two men. And that's what sets them apart from all others. You were there. Take us back a decade ago, almost to the day when you saw them play in Miami.
You know, 2004, I was coaching Roddick. You know, obviously I was keeping an eye out on Federer, but I wanted to see this kid that everybody was talking about, Rafael Nadal. I watched Nadal go out and destroy Roger Federer, who had not lost a match in 2004, 3-3. And somebody asked me my impressions, you know, when I was walking out, just a fan, what do you think of that kid? And I said, he's coming like a freight train. Get on board.
He certainly has, and now when we look at them take the court tonight, just for Roger Federer to get to this moment, his draw here was staggering, but he didn't need to see Verdasco. Then he took out Jo-Wilfried Tsonga. Then he took out Andy Murray. And for Federer, coming off the worst year of his career, we thought, no way, is he really going to get to Nadal in the semifinals? And sure enough, he's here. And now he'll make that walk, Brad, and what is so unusual, you'll see Federer walk first.
Well, that's, you know, because he's ranked, you know, lower, and the lower person always ranked. And first of all, Nadal was in that group of death, so we didn't even know he was going to come out of that. But I've been saying for 4 years now, Roger Federer should have switched to a larger frame. And I think finally, when he did try a little bit this summer, it didn't work for him, and now he's feeling comfortable with it. And you know what I've seen from him? Great play off the backhand and a lot more emotion coming forward. And when he's been coming forward, he's had great success. Shot making. Look at the stick save like on this forehand up the line pass, a thing of beauty. And then this is what we've seen all tournament long. And I know this brings a smile to Stefan Edberg. Look at that volley gem right there. And good defense, good slice, and look at this little flick shot. That is a thing of beauty.
His movement so improved, and that's what he said, his movement. He trusts his back that gave him so much trouble. Those flick shots, that's the new racket? That's giving him more strength off of those shots when he goes out wide?
You know, he does that squash shot a lot, but I think more than anything, in December, he was supposed to play those exhibitions. He blew those off. He trained a lot harder. He said the back is feeling good, got really used to that racket. So I think besides Edberg, besides the racket, he's moving as good as I've seen him in 4 years. So you add in all those things, and that's why you got hashtag Fedberg, where he's playing way better.
All right, we do have a report from Darren Cahill courtside, and he said the roof is starting to move. So how does that affect now?
Oh,
the play?
Dramatically affects, you know, when they play outdoor hardcourt matches, 7-2 Rafa. If they play indoors, they've only played 5, 4-1 Roger Federer. Because with the roof totally open, it's cool. We'll make the court a little slower, and you'll have a lot more of the win factor. And I believe Rafael Nadal is the best win player since Andre Agassi.
All right, well, it is cool and cloudy, but the rain is gone, so we do expect very dry conditions. We're going to continue our live coverage. We're getting ready for the walk. Nadal and Federer is live and coming up.
ESPN's coverage of the Australian Open 2014 is presented by Franklin Templeton Investments. Gain from our perspective.
And we welcome you back live to Melbourne Park. Roger Federer and Rafa Nadal getting set to take center stage at Rod Laver Arena. They meet in the men's semifinals. On the other side, another Swiss, Stan Wawrinka, waits.
Spain is Rafael Nadal.
Well, it's two of the greatest players of all time playing in the same decade, and it's one for the ages. That's what Pete Sampras said today about watching these two. And Sampras, the great champion, is here because he'll hand out the men's championship trophy come Sunday night. It's always so great to hear the roar that both of these players receive in the arena as well as out here. Many people with just a grounds pass, picnicking and watching the big screen behind us. This is an amazing scene.
Oh, it's an unbelievable atmosphere. Look at that. He's wearing the red shoes tonight. He's busted those out.
Rafa going with the red shoes. All right, I don't know how that factors into the tail of the tape, but let's break it down anyway. Come on, Brad.
Let's take a look at the tail of the tape. I had to think about this today. The forehands, these are two unbelievable forehands. 3 checks. The backhands, I give 2. Normally, I would give Rafa 3, but the blister has hampered the backhand here. The serve, I'm giving the edge 3-2 to Rafa. 3-2 to Roger. The serve is also hampering the blister of Rafa. The return, I give it 2-2. Net play, both tremendous at the net, 3-3. The movement, I give the slight edge to Rafa, 3-2. Intangibles, hashtag Fedberg, and we know on Rafa's side, kryptonite. I own you in big matches. The eye test tells me throughout this tournament, Roger Federer has been the better player of the two. I could not ignore head-to-head. I could not ignore 7 years since he's beaten him in a Grand Slam match. Roof open. I'm going Rafael Nadal in 4 tight sets.
In 4 tight ones. All right, let's get you inside now to Rod Laver Arena. And the guys are calling the match tonight. It's Chris Fowler, Patrick McEnroe. Guys, roof open. We're ready to go, huh?
Yeah, partially open. It still has a funny look, Chris. We'll explain, but a lot less windy than it is out there, obviously. Well, welcome. It's a few minutes delayed, but we know tennis fans around the world aren't going to mind waiting for Rafa versus Roger XXXIII. Patrick, the personalities in the games are obviously very well defined. The history between them is very well known. So we'll focus tonight at the beginning on what's different, what's new in 2014 in this week, because if some new things don't come into play, the result could be fairly predictable.
Well, we've seen that story before, haven't we? When it's tight for a couple of sets and there becomes sort of a look of resignation oftentimes from Federer when he takes on Rafael Nadal. For Nadal, it's pretty simple. Go high to the backhand, attack that side of the court as often as he can. For Roger Federer, a couple of new things this year, Chris. He's 100% healthy, which he wasn't throughout a lot of last year. He's got Stefan Edberg in his corner, and I think that's making a big difference. We'll get into that early in the match. And also think the racket is probably the biggest difference. It's something that's taken him a while to make the commitment to, but he's finally made that change, and I think it's helped a lot of different aspects of his game. We're going to find out just how much it's helped him tonight against his nemesis Nadal.
Especially on that backhand side that has been the nemesis stroke against the hooking lefty forehands of Rafa. For Nadal, much focus this week on a blister on his left palm. Perhaps a little bit less practice in the offseason, perhaps trying to rotate the grip to get more torque on the serve in these fast courts. But then Nadal popped the blister himself without having a physio look at it early this week. That's a no-no. He's had it taped at times in this tournament, but not tonight. He's got just a small protective round bandage on top of it to get, he hopes, better feel on the racket, because the serve has been the problem.
Well, we know that Nadal has no problem with suffering, right? He talked about that even down here. He's played some matches. This is not what I would call suffering, but it's a pretty ugly, and it is in a tough spot. And I do think that it's affected his serve, especially his second serve, Chris. And if it has, then that gives Federer the opportunity to really attack him. Now, I also think, quite frankly, that Federer, I agree with Brad, has looked better in this tournament. Nadal struggled against Nishikori, who played well against him. Dimitrov, sort of the mini baby Federer. And Federer has had a couple of great wins and looked very good doing so, beating Tsonga and Andy Murray. So the stars are sort of aligned. You feel that that's why something could change tonight, and I think Federer could get the win tonight.
Let's talk about the Edberg factor, the 6-time Grand Slam champion. He's won this Australian Open title a couple of times, went to Dubai, and part of the conversations these guys had during that week at Federer's training base were about the man on the other side of the net, and he felt that Edberg had some good ideas about playing Nadal. How will we see that come into play?
Well, Stefan Edberg was very clear-minded in the way he played. He was going to get in at every opportunity. He was going to rush the net, and he had a clear purpose. Now, he didn't have as much variety in his game as Roger Federer does, but he had a very simple game plan most of the time, and I think he's brought a little bit of that. You still don't want to get away from your strengths if you're Federer, which are explosive movement, attacking the ball off the forehand wing. But what I've seen from Federer this tournament is absolutely no indecision when he decides to move forward. He's blanketing the net, he's getting in quickly, and he's making that move very quickly and decisively. And believe me, Chris, he better do that tonight against Nadal.
And helping him get forward, a more aggressive court position. He's playing inside the baseline, ready to charge the net. Can he do that tonight, though, against a very tough guy?
That's going to be fun to see.
Rod Laver Arena, ready. Rafa versus Roger live, coming up from Melbourne.
With Uncle Tony, Rafa's uncle and coach, tell us about this incredible lead up to this match for Rafa.
Well, today is a very difficult match for us. and I hope it's a difficult match too for Roger. It's difficult against one of the best players ever, with Rod Laver and Federer. So difficult match.
And how is his hand? Is the blister okay? Is there anything else with the hand?
The hand is better, and I hope today is not a problem.
So do we.
We should see.
Thank you, Uncle Tony.
Thank you to you.
Chris.
All right, Pam, thank you. We thank Tony Nadal for his time. We'll keep a close eye on Nadal's serve. Does he have confidence in the second serve field? Will he go for first serve as a key component? Darren Cahill is courtside for the latest on the conditions, Darren, with the roof finally moving open.
Yeah, also, Chris, a little bit of controversy right before the women's doubles final as well, with them trying to open the roof. It got stuck about 30 feet open. Now, it wasn't until about 10 minutes ago where they finally got the roof going. They were working for a couple of hours to try to get that roof open. Good for Nadal, it did, because as Brad said in the opening, with these types of conditions, windy conditions, it certainly suits the way he plays. He's got great footwork in windy conditions. It is gusty, about 70 degrees at the moment. Will probably drop down to about 60 degrees, the end that Federer is at the moment. He has a slight breeze, but it is blowing around the place, and it will be a huge factor here. There are some showers in the Melbourne area, but we understand they will not hit Melbourne Park, so we think it's going to be a fine night.
We trust the radar is correct. Roger talked about the wind in the Murray match. Of course, the breeze going into his face at the far side when he was trying to serve the match out and wasn't able to do so. He says it's in the server's mind, whatever end of the court you're on, when the breeze is in play.
Yeah, I agree with Darren, and you know, Nadal, because he plays with so much spin and margin, and he's also able to flatten the ball out as well, that does help him. And Roger is a precision player as well, so sometimes he can hit some mishits if it's a bit breezy out there.
Talk about Federer's road here being so challenging. He brings confidence in over good wins in the two previous rounds, but the head-to-head is something he'll try to ignore. He says far more important to him, and how his legacy is discussed, are his titles, not the deficit head-to-head against Nadal, as you'd expect him to say.
Yeah, well, I mean, he can say that, but I think the reality is that Nadal's had his number, and Federer's only beaten him the 2 times in majors, big matches obviously, but both at Wimbledon.
Roger was 25 years old the last time he beat Rafa in a Grand Slam match, that Wimbledon final in 2007, which left Nadal in tears in the shower. They have inflicted on each other some of the most painful possible losses. They have helped raise each other's game. They've given tennis fans some of the greatest moments in the history of the sport. So we'll see what has.
Let's hope we have another one tonight. That's what we're all hoping for. And you know, really, Chris, we never. After last year and the year before, where Federer hasn't even been in the final of a hard court major for a couple of years, we really wondered if we would ever see this kind of match again. And we've got it. And I think Federer, with the way he's played in the last couple of matches, has certainly raised the expectations of everyone in the tennis world that this could really be another classic match. Can he come out on top?
Well, he certainly seems to have gained belief from the partnership with Edberg, the new frame, healthier back, the way he's moving. For Nadal's part, not really concerned about all that. I was asking, does Rafa bother to look at any differences that Roger's done since the new frames come into play? Is he worried about what Edberg might be telling him to do? And not really. The game plan has been tried and true, as Tony Nadal told Pam, and they'll stick with it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he's got the lefty forehand to go cross court into Roger's really one weak area, which is the ball up high in the backhand. Now, I do want to see tonight, because there was a factor the other night against Murray, how high he can actually get this ball on this slightly quicker surface this year.
Federer waited for Nadal to run out first. Rafa is famous for stalling, making his opponent wait. Roger sat there and waited for Nadal to come out. And it'll be the Federer serve to start this Australian Open semifinal.
You ready for play for sets? Roger Federer to serve. 40 love.
And 5 points, only a couple of them. Nadal returns in play.
First game.
A good early message from Federer with a second serve and volley.
Found it really interesting also that Federer has already spoken about Edberg and Dubai before Christmas, talking a lot about Nadal. And I remember back to 6 years ago when I spent a couple of weeks with Roger, how much he was concerned with Nadal's game. He knew that Murray and Djokovic were going to be good players, but he understood the wins and losses against them. He doesn't understand the losses against Nadal, and he talked a lot about breaking his game down. Sometimes he could walk off the court against Nadal and play well and be on the other side of victory, and that's what really bothers him when he plays Nadal.
Rafael Nadal to serve.
It's not about how well he plays, it's about how smart he is on the court.
About how long he can sustain it, too. Federer showing willingness to hit over the backhand, but netted a couple in the game.
I think the good news for Federer early is the tempo of the points are pretty quick. A little bit like the Federer-Murray match, the points are quicker, not as many grinding rallies. We'll see how that develops.
His first set also much more important for Federer than it is for Nadal, and he'll be hoping to get one of those easy first sets like Grigor Dimitrov did, where it was about 30 minutes. Nadal won't be bothered if he loses the first set if it's 50 to 60 minutes, but crucial for Federer.
15 all.
The speed of the court has really helped Federer with that particular serve, the wide serve sliding away in the deuce court. Gets a little more help from the court speed and the balls being a bit quicker this year.
Tough to approach Nadal forehand, and Roger knows that.
30 all.
See, Nadal took a big step wide there and got behind the ball. Watch him. He's already leaning out there. Gets a decent cut on it, but there's too much court for Federer. That's the kind of bang-bang tennis Federer wants to make routine in this match.
Federer give himself a come on in that game. That's not normal in the third game of a match. The concern for the Nadal serve really popped up against Kei Nishikori, his opponent in the fourth round. He hadn't been broken through 3 rounds. Demolished Monfils in the only night match that he's played. But Nishikori broke him 4 times. And then against Dimitrov, Nadal broke himself a couple times with double faults. In his opening service game, he made 4 first serves. You see no evidence that the blister is bothering him.
That's a good sign for him.
If it is, he's not showing.
Well, he knowing him, he probably wouldn't. Federer makes the move, and there's no indecision whatsoever. Still a tough pickup there, but handles it well. But when he made the move, the decision to come forward, it was straightforward. And no one was better than Stefan Edberg at that transition to the net.
Came in on Rafa's backhand that time.
Love 30. How
deep is his trust in this tactic, Federer coming forward?
I think it's got to be deep if he wants to win this match. For him, he'd much rather lose points like this than flailing it back into the middle of the net. Make Nadal beat you with the pass.
40-30.
Nadal's yet to miss a first serve.
The trickier end to hold. He'll be very pleased if he can get out of a love 30 hole and hold into this breeze. No chip backhand there, Patrick. Wow. It was laid in at 87 miles per hour. First there to be hit.
First, second serve Federer's seen. He made that one count.
Look how wide he is. About 4 feet outside the doubles alley.
Nadal goes right back to work, and boy, he's the best I've ever seen at making sure he hits a forehand when he really wants to.
So Federer threatens Nadal's service game, but Rafa still 11 of 12 on first serves in the match.
And already you can see the frustration that Federer has sometimes in scouting Nadal's previous matches early in a tournament where he struggles against lesser players, but when he plays Federer, he raises a level or two. He's done that already in these 4 games.
Exactly. So often you look at the previous round and you say, well, Federer is in better form. Doesn't matter in the head-to-head. Federer should be fresher, playing cleaner. Nadal looks far less nervous than he did against either Nishikori and especially Dimitrov in the last round. Very tight start in those matches.
40 love.
Don't you think it's going to be very difficult for Nadal to break Federer from this end? With the breeze.
With the breeze, yeah.
Again, Federer.
3-2 on Rod Laver Arena.
Federer leads 3-2.
Welcome back to the Australian Open 2014, presented by Franklin Templeton Investments.
A probing start for 2 old rivals on a cool and breezy night inside Rod Laver Arena. Be careful with that racket, Rafa. He's only got 4 in the bag, Patrick. That's a low number. Only 4.
Low. That's very low.
Standard would be 6. He broke one in practice the other day when it slipped out of his left palm serving with that tape on it.
Okay.
Why that could become important is if he decided he didn't like the tension and he needs to send a couple out to be restrung, then you're down to just the racket in your hand and the one in your bag.
I would
for about 25 minutes.
I think you could afford to get a couple more sent from Spain, but okay.
You would think. Beautiful defensive shot by Federer, but Nadal just keeping him on the run.
Yeah, you talked about Federer's transition game, but Nadal's is pretty darn good too. And the ball was very low. The one that Federer hit, this next one here. Watch how quickly Nadal gets up to and just whips it. Beautiful footwork and timing.
Roger said, I don't care how slow Nadal was serving against Dimitrov. I know he'll come out guns blazing against me. And he has with that shot. Talk about what's inside Roger's head on that backhand wing. So often when he's hit the chips against Rafa, it's gotten him in trouble because the next shot's a forehand. He seems committed to hitting over it.
Well, I think that has to be his intention, is to hit over it and step into it. He has to be decisive with whatever he decides to do. The problem is if he goes to the chip and doesn't hit it perfectly, he's then on the run again.
And this is the pressure game for Federer.
Against the breeze, Darren?
Yes.
Yep, that's a great return. Nadal was sitting on it.
15-30.
And he had to be, because it was well placed, it was wide, it just didn't get it quite wide enough.
You can say you want to come in, but then you have to deal with passes like that.
15-40.
Keep doing it.
That's 5 times now he's coming on the forehand, and he's lost 3 of those points.
First break points of the match.
As you know, Chris, I'm not a fan of coming in against Nadal's forehand. You can go to the forehand and push him back and create space to come in on the backhand, but coming on the forehand is a risky play.
So break point. Mirka doesn't look relaxed. Not as relaxed as Stefan. Appears to be on the outside anyway.
Advantage Federer.
I think another area where Edberg could have gotten into Federer's head about this matchup is serve to the body a little more. He's hit a couple of body serves tonight. Didn't serve at all to the body against Murray. If Federer's going to run around the forehand and go back inside out, he has to do way more with that shot. That's just routine for Nadal to pull that up the line. It's a recipe for disaster for Federer, that play.
Advantage Federer.
And Federer saves 2 break points to hold from the trickier side.
Federer
leads 4-3. And welcome back. 8:15 on Friday evening, the beginning of Australia Day weekend. Holiday down under. Across town, thousands enjoying Pearl Jam. Patrick, it's the big day out.
That's not a bad ticket, but I think I'll take this one.
I'd rather be here.
Yeah, I think I'll take this one.
You know, people are watching in every time zone around the tennis world. Anytime these two guys collide on the court.
Mid-morning in Mallorca and back in Switzerland, so good timing for the European fans.
New tennis balls for Rafa, serving into the breeze we've talked about.
15 love.
That time Federer electing to move way back on the second serve return. Actually got what he wanted, which was a routine forehand, just overcooked it. Interesting to see if he adjusts his return position.
Missed it. Tried that all-out assault on the backhand corner. So familiar.
And what I mean by adjusting his position is varying it. We saw him step around earlier in the match on this side, on the ad side, and crank a forehand, step back. I think he has to tinker a little bit to keep Nadal guessing.
Tries to nullify a very predictable but brutally efficient serving pattern by Nadal.
There's just a couple of forehands that have flown on him, and that's sort of the downside of going to a widey-bodied racket, a 98 square inch frame, more power, is that every now and then a forehand or two is going to fly.
Beautiful.
I think it's well worth it, Darren, because I think he'll gain better control as he gets used to it, and it's clearly helping him in some other area of his game, like here.
I agree. I think the upside outweighs the downside.
You were in Brisbane when he was tinkering with this new frame and played a terrible final set against Hewitt. He said he was trying to overhit. He hadn't really figured out the capacity of the frame at that point.
Correct.
Extended rally of the match, and it goes to Nadal for 4-all. Nice to see Federer able to fly around the court. A different look from a year ago when he had the back problem at the end of the previous year, wasn't able to do his normal training. He hopes that movement like this over the long haul will be one of the differences tonight. 0 for 4 against Nadal in 2013.
That's second serve. That's in love.
Even though Rafa missed that return on the previous point, it sent a message.
First double of the match.
Boy, Darren, is it me or with or into the breeze, I should say. Nadal is really torquing that topspin forehand, really feeling it's going to drop down on the court, and it is getting up at this near end.
It is really jumping.
They played 1,000 points like that head-to-head, haven't they?
Well, that's what Nadal likes to see, taking the air out of the ball, but getting it up higher and making Federer not only hit it high, but generate his own pace.
Federer again faces a break point. margins. A net cord goes over for Federer. Break point down. That four-handed set on his side. Nadal serving for the set. Pete Sampras arrived in Australia today from the States. He will hand out the men's champion trophy here on Sunday night. He's sandwiched between these two in major titles at the moment. Nadal could equal Sampras's 14 by winning this title.
Huge hold there, Chris. Huge hold.
He's had a couple of them in this opening set. Nadal will serve to stay in it in Mr. Laver's house. It's Nadal who's had the 3 break chances against the Federer serve. 2 of them from the far end, or the trickier end into the breeze, and 1 of them in that last game. Federer did very well to fight those off. There's a man that wasn't used to facing many break points.
Pistol Pete.
Never seen these guys play in person, he told us.
That's amazing. Best serve ever.
There's a lot of Grand Slam titles in the house tonight.
That's a good point. Yeah, there are a few.
6 of them in Roger's coaching box, of course.
Probably the question I get asked more than any other one, Chris, is will Federer win another one?
15.
Good question.
That's why I get
I'll
asked
tell you
it a
on
lot.
Sunday. Now, Federer will become the huge favorite to beat his countryman Stan Wawrinka in the final here if he gets past Nadal. Stan's playing well, but you clearly make either man the big favorite. The odds makers would anyway.
Absolutely. Well, Nadal has come out, as you said earlier, Chris, serving exceptionally well tonight. 79% first serve percentage, and he's going after his first serve. Used to be a time in their head-to-head when he was happy just to spin it into the back end, but he's aggressively going after that first.
Federer is aggressively going after Nadal's backhand whenever he can. It's a big miss. That was for set point for Federer.
That was exactly the kind of transition shot that Federer's been dealing with beautifully this tournament. Nadal's dropping quite a few of his ground strokes short. Can Federer capitalize? Drop that serve short.
Federer, a long look. No challenge.
Game. Nadal. 5 games on.
It was good, FYI. One of Rafa's many quirks. He'll run right down the Melbourne sun when he moves baseline to baseline. Likes to walk through that painted area. Challenge.
Nadal is challenging the call on the right baseline. The ball was cut.
American Jake Garner in the chair.
Nadal has 2 challenges remaining.
Nadal gave a shake of the head like, I better be ready for the serve and volley tonight.
You also need to be ready for the drop volley as well, because Nadal has made Federer bring that into his game. Can't just punch that first volley deep to the court anymore, because these guys move so well. You give them a second chance at passing you and they'll make it.
Third ace for Federer. Nadal tries to service to a first set tiebreak.
Federer leads 6 games to 5. 6, please.
We've talked a lot about the court speed and maybe more importantly the court bounce here. When they played against each other 2 years ago, Federer's average backhand hit point was 44 inches. Tonight it's 37 inches. That is a huge difference. And I believe that gives Federer a great chance to pull this off tonight.
Less wear and tear on the shoulder over time. toe-to-toe for a while. Federer right up on the baseline. So tough to time those shots from there.
15 love.
He's playing almost like half volleys, Patrick.
Yeah, well, that's good for him. It's not really less wear and tear, Chris, so much as just less unforced errors because the ball's not getting out of his comfort zone as much, and that's the difference. But he's still, as you just saw on that point, even though the ball didn't get up high on Federer, he still has to hit a ton of shots.
That 2012 match, their last meeting in a major, was a semifinal in which Federer won the opening set in a tiebreak. Nadal won the third set in a tiebreak and pulls it out in 4. So this is the first in 2 years at a Grand Slam. Rafa trying to force another first set tiebreak.
So the longer this first set goes, the more physical it's becoming, the more important it becomes for Federer to win this first set.
47 minutes, Darren. Do you see any signs of wear and tear, or you're just
Not
thinking
yet.
about the long view?
It's over the course.
Nadal beginning to play more points on his terms. Would you agree, Patrick?
Yes. I think that's an example there of that bigger frame, a little more power in the racket, paying dividends on the return from Federer, allowed him to get a short reply and get to net quickly. At full stretch, he's got a little more pop on the ball.
Nadal. 6 games all for sets. Both players receive one additional challenge.
Dead even in tie breaks, head to head. Federer has played far more in his career overall, more than 500 of them. Nadal, a little more than half that number. Federer begins the tiebreak with the breeze at his back. Federer knew the importance of that point right there. Get it back on serve.
Nadal.
Took it out of the air, and he slightly slipped as he was coming forward right here. His right foot slipped. He lost his balance ever so slightly.
It's also slipping away as this first set tiebreak. Federer with the breeze, losing both points on serve. Nadal will have whatever edge there is on his side after this point.
Well, you said it a couple of minutes ago, Chris, and you were spot on, and that's what's happened in this breaker, is that Nadal's playing it on his terms. He's got Federer on the string. He's moving him around, and that's exactly where Rafa wants to be.
Roger keeps telling himself after those misses, hit the backhand. He's certainly fit, better than he's been. And this isn't going to shake too much of his belief, but if Federer can't pull this back, it's a pretty deflating way to end the set. Return got back to him very quickly. That's pretty good weapon in this opening set for Federer.
Yeah, set it up with a big forehand right there in the corner.
Each time Nadal's gotten to them, but Federer's had the reply. Points in a row, has to find a way to win a Nadal service point to stay in the tiebreak.
6-4.
Two set points. But this is the crucial one. The game plan, tried and true, earns Nadal the first set tiebreak after 59 minutes on Rod Laver Arena. Nadal, after taking the opening set tiebreak, has left the court for a gear change, which gives us time to check in with Pam Shriver and the very special guest in the house. Pam?
That's right. A couple of PSs here. Pete Sampras, what is your reflections on the first set you've ever seen between these two live?
These guys are good. They really are amazing. Rafa is a great player. He moves phenomenal. Roger is playing well. His serve sort of left him in the tiebreaker, and you know, Rafa's tough. He's a beast. He can play at this level for hours, and Roger needs he needs to recover from this first set loss and hopefully come back and we'll see what happens.
Well, you've played so many tremendous tiebreaks in your career against Andre, especially at the Open. What is his psychology after winning or losing in tiebreak?
It has to be a quick recovery. If you lose it, Roger's got to just snap back into the second set. There's no more time to just sort of, you know, as far as worrying what happened. It's over. It's got to move on, and we'll see.
What about when you think about Roger's last 12 months and everything you went through in your last 12 months of your amazing career?
Well, as you get a little older, you're not quite as agile. You lose a little bit. He's been out there many years. He's done everything in the game. He's a great champion. And as you've been out there for many years, you get a little stale. And I think Roger last year, he lost some confidence. But he's playing well, and we'll see what happens for the rest of the match.
Pete, it's great to see you here. Fight the jet lag, and terrific to see you present the trophy on Sunday.
Thanks, Pam.
Chris?
All right, Pammy. Of course, Sampras surpassed by Federer at Wimbledon.
Thank you.
Roger with the 17 majors. Nadal can equal Sampras' 14 by winning the title here. They've already played in the same number of Grand Slam finals, Sampras and Nadal. Pete and Andre played 34 times. That's one more than these two guys have collided in the court.
It was a tremendous rivalry, and for many reasons why this one is so good, although theirs was a little bit closer, is the contrast in the styles.
Exactly. Sampras a 20-14 edge on Agassi. Nadal begins set two.
Pete was spot on there with the fact that Federer didn't get any cheap points at all on his serve, which he was getting early in the set. But as the set went on, it became a little bit more difficult for him, and he wasn't able to play too many points like that, where he was the aggressor, and he's got to stick with that game plan. It's very simple for Nadal. There's no doubt about what he's going to do when it counts. For Federer, that's always been the X factor against Rafa.
You feel that clear game plan is why over years in big points Nadal's been able to have the edge.
Absolutely.
Infantino.
It's easy to say, reboot, forget what happened in the first set, but given the history, given the fact that Roger has to know it's been a long time since he's beaten Rafa after losing the first set. You have to go back to Hamburg when they played on clay in 2007. That's when Federer snapped Nadal's 81 match winning streak on clay. That's it. And in the Miami final, back when it was best of 5. Came from 2 sets down in that one.
Well, another predictable serve, predictable yet effective. And you see the Nadal serve direction, almost exclusively to the backhand side.
All but one.
Much better play there from Federer. You saw in the first 6 games he was able to do that, whether or not he came in on the forehand or backhand. He was looking to get forward, but credit goes to Nadal because he's kept an incredible depth on his ground strokes, so the opportunities have dried up for Federer.
That's gut-wrenching for Federer right there. That's exactly the kind of point you need to win against Nadal in best of 5 in these conditions, to show him that you're ready to hang, that you're going to run him as much as he's going to run you. And to miss that last shot is just so deflating for Federer.
It would have given him his first break point of the night. Rafa is right not to challenge. That did miss. Swinging forehand volley could loom large for Federer as Nadal holds. Our coverage of the Australian Open Women's Championship match presented by Franklin Templeton Investments begins at 3 a.m. Eastern Time, midnight Pacific. Li Na in the final for the 3rd time in the last 4 years. She lost the previous 2 after winning the first set against Dominika Cibulková in Slovakia. Trainer out to look at Nadal's left palm again.
I've never seen Rafa hit a double-handed backhand drop shot before, ever. Normally, if he plays a drop shot, he drops a hand from the racket. That's a new shot.
Yeah, like Jimmy Connor's drop shot there.
A beauty.
Again, if you're joining us late and haven't been tuning in all week, the saga of the blister on that left palm, which is about the size of a nickel, maybe, but it's where the butt cap of the racket hits that. He holds it in a different position than most guys, with kind of the hand off the end of the racket. He wore tape a couple matches earlier and has been able to remove it, which he says gives him better feel.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference, Chris, to the tape he was using before that wrapped around the whole hand, so the whole crowd just went ooh with the sight of it on the big screen.
You guys know, I've been told, Darren, that some players would have a serious problem.
Yeah.
Continuing through a tournament with that kind of blister.
Yeah, for sure, but it does look much worse than what it really is because of that red cream they put on it. It's more disinfected, so it's not as bad as what it looks, but it is tough. It's the worst position a tennis player can have a blister on the hand to play with because it's right where the end of the racket sits. But having that big tape wrapping around the hand, taking that off has made a huge difference to him. It's also helped his forehand. You can tell that tonight.
It's a problem that began when he got the blister there and then punctured it himself. You know how when you're a kid, you don't like that blister. I got a puncture. That was not well advised. He should have had his own personal physio deal with it.
This is also tough for Roger to sit and watch the big screen and see that blister, then look to the scoreboard and see he's down 7-6-1 love. It's tough psychologically.
Yeah, give him a little more time to think about that swinging forehand volley he missed at 30 all. You know, look, Federer's got to dig. He's going to have to dig so deep. And is he willing and able to do that? I mean, to beat Nadal. I do doubt it against Nadal. Yeah, because I think he's playing well enough to be right. He's right there. The only guy that's beaten Nadal basically by saying I'm going to run with you, I'm going to grind with you, was Novak Djokovic when he was beating Rafa on this kind of surface. Other players have gotten hot and sort of blown him off the court when he was younger, but no one's really been able to say I'm going to grind with you.
Except Djokovic.
And nobody can blow him off the court now either.
Say it again, Darren?
Yeah, nobody can blow him off the court now. That's the big thing. They used to be able to do it, but he solved that problem as well.
Let's hear from Nadal on serving with that blister.
I feel that with the tape, I can lose the racket when I'm serving. That's my feeling. No? The racket can go, you know, and that's a terrible feeling for a serve, because then when you have this feeling, you are not able to accelerate at the right moment. You lose a little bit the coordination. You know, you don't. Yeah, you is. Yeah, that's a big deal.
In practice, he lost the grip on the racket. It went flying out of his hand, hit the practice court and broke. And then against Dimitrov, the feel on the second serve kind of went away. He double faulted 3 times in a game to lose serve in a crucial stage. He had 8 doubles in the match. But so far tonight, he's been serving superbly. Incredibly,
really
hasn't faced a break point.
Great percentage, 72% of his first serves. That's what you want to see from Federer. He's got to get into it, like mentally show Nadal that he's ready to go to the distance, because that's the only way he's going to win this match now. He's not going to steamroll.
Points, and Federer's twice called out. He'd be a little bit annoyed by the delay too, Nadal leaving the court after the tiebreak and then stopping after 1 game for the trainer. But he looks really, you know, emotionally into it right now, more than the first set.
Served and volleyed, and maybe Nadal, out of the corner of his eye, saw him coming in. Mishit it.
Tony, one of the few high-profile coaches that doesn't cover that little lipstick camera in the coaching box. Stefan Edberg wants no part of it. They cover it up. Sent 2 scorching shots at the Federer forehand at the net. Fed fans come alive.
1 game on.
Look at these rips.
The change of racket now for Roger Federer. Just one final thought on that tape that Rafa has discarded for this match. The other big difference it's made to his game is the grip changes. He has massive grip changes between the forehand and the backhand, and that tape starts to turn over and the sticky part starts to stick to the grip of the racket. He really struggled with that against Dimitrov. He's not having to worry about that tonight.
Guys are both tremendous front runners. The numbers indicate that. Why on Nadal's end is he such a great front runner? Is it because you think he relaxes, or because it's so daunting for the opponent to know that it's tough to come back against a guy that's physical?
It's both. Mostly it's the physical part of his game. He just wears you down, and it allows him to hit more shots like that where he's aggressive on the forehand.
30. 40.
It seems to me, Darren, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on this, that Federer plays more points like that, where he's going for his shots early in the set, and he sort of backs off of that later in the set.
I agree.
Is that a mindset, or is that just because his comfort zone, you think, is just to sort of see how the point develops?
Hold that thought, Darren. On serve for early second set. An agitated Federer in a conversation with Jay Garner in the chair. It's a little tough to sort of interpret what he means. And he's saying, you know, nobody ever says anything. You just swallow it. That's sort of what.
Can't pick up what he's saying, but he's clearly annoyed by something.
Maybe the result of the first set?
Oh, he's definitely annoyed about that, but I don't think that the umpire has anything to do with that.
Do you think that the break after the tie break and then the stop for the trainer after the first game has him annoyed? Or?
You know what? I'd just be guessing at this point.
The guy on the other side's game? all of the above?
Oh, yes.
Such a complete contrast to the Tsonga and Murray matches when Federer was able to win points with his first serve. Just not, as Sampras mentioned, just not getting that done tonight. And he hasn't been broken, but he's having to play a lot more points like that in his service games after the first couple games of the match when he was holding more comfortably.
Yeah, it was a good, clean return from Nadal, and as soon as he got the return deep, he was able to get on top of the point quickly. Big opportunity for Rafa now at love 30.
Incredible depth by Nadal on his ground strokes tonight.
That's a monster key. Even hitting as he is now into the breeze, he is getting the ball very deep and high. Federer talking to himself. He knows he has to make a stand right here.
Well, this time Nadal doesn't get the ball deep nor high, and Federer makes him pay the price. If you're Federer, you're losing points that are going your forehand to Nadal's backhand, then you're in big trouble.
That will give Nadal even more confidence. That kind of point right there. Now Federer facing a break point. Danger of going down a set and 3-1. Finally, he's thinking.
Oh, that is so good.
Ruthless corner-to-corner shots.
What control with the backhand. Look at this angle right here. Federer does well to get it back short. Rafa up to the ball so quickly.
That little step right there, Patrick. He kind of just hopped forward at the last second. Break point again.
That's for serve.
Turn too short.
This time Federer forced to come in when he didn't want to.
It's a wicked angle.
Yeah.
Break point number 3. Another of these break points as Federer had to play a point, play a rally. Able to end them quickly.
Wicked on the pass. And again, as you know, Darren pointed out in the first set, you got to make them pass with the backhand. I mean, that's a mid-court ball. That's a routine pass for Nadal.
But against the righty, it's to the backhand, and it inside-out forehands have been the trademarks. I'm sure a lot of things feel so different for Roger against this guy. Beautiful control as he was falling backward.
Watch Nadal. He actually starts to cheat to the backhand corner. Look, he guesses. And that time Federer gets him. But he wasn't coming in behind that shot. Stayed back.
Federer shows on the call of the right first set of the bowls conference.
Ken Rosewell there in the box as well.
Just behind the rocket.
Adding to that total Grand Slams
That's right.
in the arena tonight. Big moments for Federer right there in that game. Huge to not fall behind a break. Nadal has sent one of the only 4 frames that he has in the bag out to be restrung. Perhaps preparing to adjust as the conditions out here change when it gets even cooler this evening. The shanks becoming more frequent.
Yeah, 2 in a row in this game. And Nadal has done a beautiful job on his. Look at those second serve points won. 76% on the second serve.
No, I'm not sure I've ever seen Nadal hit his backhand this well on a fast, quick, low-bouncing hard court.
Yeah, he's beating Federer to Federer's forehand side with his backhand cross. Ridiculous. That's his 9th winner off the backhand side. Federer has 0.
Well, that is a telltale sign of Nadal confidence and feeling great about his game. When he is taking a rip and flat backhands like that, he's feeling good. When he's not, they get dumped short or in the net. On serve in the second. It feels like just hanging on here.
Well, one thing we wanted to look for in this match tonight is we go inside the point is Nadal's ability to control the court with the forehand, and sort of a weak, tame reply on the return from Federer. And this is why the slice gets him into so much trouble against Nadal, because if he doesn't hit it perfectly, he's on the run. This is the point where he hit that two-handed drop shot. But that's a perfect example of dictating with the forehand, 62% of the time going cross-court, 38% of the time going up the line, and really spreading the court, and also going after Federer's forehand with that cross-court backhand.
Love 15.
What you pointed out last game is startling. We think of the Nadal forehand, along with Rogers, being one of the great weapons in the history of the sport. But he's got 3x the number of winners off the backhand tonight. That's 2 quick misses for Federer to challenge it, but it looks like he pulled it wide.
It's a build-up of pressure. Every service game now is in trouble.
That affecting his shot selection, decision making out there?
Absolutely.
This crowd gave both guys a huge cheer when they came out. It was tough to see who they were favoring, but now a lot more voices for Roger. They're very knowledgeable, and they understand right now this is a crucial moment for his chances of coming back in this match. Oh my goodness!
What a gap!
Nadal had to go so low from our bunker position. It's easy to appreciate the brilliance of that.
It looked like the ball was actually behind him when he hit it.
Come on. That had to catch Federer off guard. Treble, 2 break chances.
Oh, Nadal knows he got a gift there. Came right back to him.
Roger tried to wrong foot him, but it did not get very deep into the corner. Just baseline roundhouses, and Nadal strengthens his lead. First break of the night for either man.
Well, Federer is just not getting nearly enough on that backhand wing, and he's just under the gun now.
He's got the bigger-headed racket, but those last 2 backhands were both slightly mishit, and you leave that ball hanging, Nadal makes you pay.
So far in the second, Nadal's lost a little bit of that superb first serve rhythm, but Federer can't make him pay, Patrick. 7 for 7 on second serve points by Nadal in the set.
No, his returns are not penetrating at all.
First of those tonight. We saw Federer step around, I think, on the return. Maybe just affected his concentration.
Nadal's winning these points just so easily now. It's just basic tennis for him at the moment. Doesn't have to do anything out of the ordinary at this point. Steamrolling now.
A hush in Rod Laver Arena. Nadal in control, 5-2.
Welcome back to the Australian Open 2014, presented by Franklin Templeton Investments.
Zoom down the Yarra. That's the casino on the right, the hotel where both players have stayed for years. And you follow along the river to Rod Laver Arena, this beautiful tennis complex. Hushed in here now. These fans certainly hoping to see an extended semifinal, 4 or 5 sets, but Nadal taking the first set in a very tight tiebreak. He has still not faced a break point tonight and is up 5-2. Daunting for the 4-time champion. If you're Federer, Patrick, do you think about one small job at a time and not the bigger challenge of trying to come all the way back?
Well, I think you do. I think you obviously got to try to keep yourself motivated, stay aggressive with your shots and your feet. He's gotten a little bit flat-footed in this second set. Nadal, meanwhile, is at 12 winners in this set and just 3 errors.
As we thought he might, he's gotten more relaxed since winning that tiebreak. And he wasn't that tight before her.
Nadal has been brilliant. Absolutely brilliant from the back of the court, and it's pretty easy for me to sit here and say Federer needs to be more aggressive and get to the net more, but he's not getting the opportunities. Nadal's depth and weight of shot has been simply brilliant tonight.
Very few. He's commanding holds. 5 aces for Roger tonight. Absolute different match from what he was able to produce against Tsonga and Murray last 2 rounds. Guys who've given him trouble head-to-head in the past as well.
Nadal, look at that. He's lost just 3 points on his serve in this set.
By the way, the 1 second serve point loss was a double.
Double, right. That's what I mean, Chris, when I talk about Federer being a little more active with his feet, a little more aggressive with his footwork to get around the ball when he gets an opportunity on his forehand. But you have to do that every single point against Nadal, which is obviously very difficult to do.
He's been so composed tonight, but Nadal knows you hold in this game. And this match is firmly in your control. It is a long way back for Federer. And you've seen a couple signs the first 2 points that he's aware of that. Let's see if he can shake it off. But all the roadwork in the point might have made that final shot a little tougher.
How good is his tennis?
Frustrating is that for Federer? He finally unloads on a backhand. He's just getting pushed around. He lets this one rip, and that's the answer. He hit his backhand 94 miles an hour.
Oh my goodness. And it came back about the same speed.
Came back faster, I think. Unbelievable.
This at the moment is not about Federer. This is about how good Nadal is.
From low 30, he has played 3 strong points in a row to deliver a set point for a 2-set-to-love lead. Well, so far, Rafael Nadal looking unbeatable tonight. I don't care who's on the other side of the court. Put any legend over there, and it would be tough. And the canyon Federer must climb out of only gets deeper. Show to Chris McHenry, Mary Jo Fernandez, a preview of the women's championship match.
I don't want to leave this town.
Well, thank you, Chris Fowler. And this time tomorrow night, Phase 2 are fighting for the ladies' title. Li Na and Dominika Cibulkova. Li Na ranked 4 in the world, Cibulkova 24, the 20th seed here. Li Na, of course, a French Open champion, a two-time finalist here. Cibulkova has never been this far in a Grand Slam event. I'm with Mary Jo Fernandez. Let's talk about the underdog first. Last year, she won 4 matches total in 4 Grand Slams. Already, she's won 6 here. Why is she so different?
Pretty good turnaround for Cibulkova, for sure. And I think the biggest difference is she's much more consistent this time around. I think she's starting to know when to play the big shots. She's not very tall, about 5'2", 5'3", but she hits the ball so hard. The forehand's actually her weapon. That's what she used to beat Maria Sharapova and Radwanska, but she's picking the right moments now. She's not going for the lines when they're not there to be hit. She's waiting for her opportunities, and mentally she's stronger. She's handling the pressure of the big points and the pressure of winning a set or a match much better.
And that's the question we need to ask of Li Na. How is she handling the big moments? She's been to the finals twice here, and she's lost. What do you think will be different about her?
Well, I see a much calmer Li Na, especially after having to save match point in the third round. I mean, she was about 5 centimeters when she played Safarova, 6-5 in the second set. It just barely missed from being out of the tournament. And I think that relaxed her. I think now she feels a sense of calm, and she has a second life. She's aggressive as well. She's been here before. Experience in this case should be the winner.
Well, Li Na was so disappointed with her play last summer. She said she thought about retirement. Her coach talked her out of that. How might this tournament tell us how she'll play the rest of the year?
Well, I think she'll know now that she made the right choice by sticking around, because if Serena Williams isn't in your half of the draw or you have to face her, it's opportunity for anyone. We saw Bartoli win at Wimbledon, and I think for Li Na, she knows now that this is her time, and she can, force the top players into trouble. She's coming in more. Carlos Rodriguez, her coach, wants her to serve and volley. I think she's going to be the winner.
All right, great. That's the match we're looking forward to tomorrow, 3 a.m. Eastern Time. Chris and Patrick and Darren, back to you.
All right, Chris, thank you very much. Cibulkova, a statement about what's possible, even though you told your whole life you're too short to play.
She's amazing. Such a great energy out there.
2 very likable personalities in the Women's Championship match. Wawrinka, of course, awaiting the winner in the Men's Championship. It was a turning of the tables when Federer said he was inspired by watching his buddy Wawrinka take out Djokovic. I'm sure pleased about that too, but was jumping up, had his arms raised, high-fiving Mirka last night when Wawrinka backed it up by beating Berdych. And Stan is at his hotel watching this match. I know he's friends with Roger, but deep down, who do you think he matches up better?
Stan?
Yeah. Think about that. He's got a terrible head-to-head against both.
Right, I was just thinking.
I think he's like 1-27 combined. Let's go back to the first set. If you joined us late, very high-quality stuff. No breaks for either man.
Yeah, and Roger was able to get into net quite a bit, and I thought play early on played the match a little bit more on his terms. But Nadal just so good at transitioning himself and really stepped up in that tiebreak to win it. Second set, Federer was constantly fighting to hold his serve. This was just a ridiculous shot from Nadal there. That was in the game that he was able to break Federer's serve. And again, Nadal going after the Federer backhand consistently. That was just a ridiculous forehand up the line winner. Also winning a lot of his backhand, Nadal, to Federer's forehand rallies as well. So he's got it all working tonight.
We talked about how Federer, with the conditions this year, able to play much more inside the court than in last year's Australian Open and really throughout the year. But notice how aggressive Nadal was in those highlights. He is right up near the baseline as much as you'll ever see him.
Well, that's why he's become such a great hardcourt player over the course of his career. He's learned to adjust. He's forced himself to take the ball earlier and to step on top of the baseline more often. His serve has gotten better. His volleys have gotten better.
What's interesting tonight, Patrick, is he's had many opportunities in some of these rallies to come to the net. It almost seems like it's the Nadal game plan to not even seize that chance, but just over the long haul, stay back and pound away.
Well, that's a tried and true recipe for victory. So he's going to keep doing it until it doesn't work. Why change a winning game plan?
Now, believe me, I'm not second guessing. I just noted that when he's got Federer chipping those backhands deep in the corner, we've seen him come in the past to the net and swat away a backhand volley. But he is intent tonight in staying back and delivering blows from the baseline.
Please.
And that might be the first time he's hit his first serve up the middle in the ad court. He tried one a little bit earlier and missed it. That go down as just his third ace.
It's a pattern he usually breaks on crucial points. Down break point, for example. Giving Federer something else to think about.
Yeah. As if he didn't have enough already.
The thing I've also noticed with Roger's backhand is that he hits the ball much flatter with this frame than he did with his previous frame, and it kind of hurts him a little bit when he's playing with the breeze, because the margin going over the net hurts him a little more. Gets away with it against the breeze, but the margins are too low for him with the breeze. Needs to get a little more spin on that shot.
I mean, these last two backhands that Federer's hit, I mean, those are not good shots from Nadal. This return is not good. How short it is, and he just gets nothing on that ball. I mean, Dimitrov, for example, was stepping in and unloading on that shot. Federer is just, at the moment, not really confident enough to step in and go after that.
If Nadal gets through, he will face a third consecutive one-handed backhand in the final. Yeah. Of course, Wawrinka is not hesitant to unload. No, we know that.
Yeah, he'll unload on the backhand. And in the forehand, Federer continuing to go after that wing. 13 winners off the forehand, but still 0 on the backhand. And now it's starting to spray all over the place. It's getting mentally and a little physically exhausted might be too strong of a word, but he's definitely sort of fatiguing out there. I think it's more mental.
And he faces break points again. It's interesting how 2 hours on court with Nadal can do that. Incredibly positive coming into this year, coming into this tournament, coming into this match. His form and the Nadal game has been able to reverse all that. 2 break chances for a 2-set and a break lead. It's going to take a whole lot from Federer for this not to be a Nadal straight set win now.
Nadal leads 2-2.
saw Nadal, Patrick, in the hallway after his practice session very briefly, smiling. His camp says a real calm, a relaxation from him. Federer appeared to be too beforehand, but that's not always the case. This guy can often take the court edgy, fears and doubts. He talks about being sometimes constant companions even during a slam that he's expected to win. What a performance tonight so far.
Nadal wants the balls from the ball kid, not the towel. That was the worst forehand he's hit all night.
That's him shaking off the ball kid. He's playing quickly tonight. Yeah. Why not?
At this point.
What did our friend BG, Brad Gilbert, say at the top of the show when he first saw this kid, when he played Federer for the first time? He said, he's coming like a freight train, right? Well, the freight train's in full force at the moment. He said, why? No reason to slow down tonight. He's still coming.
Getting a report that there might be a little bit of rain in the area.
Anything that would change up what's going on in here now would be good for Federer. Maybe Nadal knows that. He's playing quickly, but this has been his first sort of loose game of the match.
It makes this game all that more important now for Federer to get this break back.
Missed it.
He punched his thigh. That's another miss, and Federer now has his first break chances of the match, and he's really been handed them by Nadal in this game.
Thank you. 30-40. Federer is challenging the call on the left baseline. The ball was cut out.
Takes all night for a break point. Doesn't get the return in play. Still has one in this game. Is it obvious to say this is a must-break game for him?
Pretty important.
Federer breaks for the first time tonight, gives himself a come on. Maybe Nadal thought the job was just about done. That was a terrible game that he played.
Did not see that coming at all. Nadal's been picking up steam. Got Sampras, got Mr. Rosewall, Mr. Laver. They're all here.
Really like to see some more tennis.
Federer says, I'm still here too.
He's got the Fed fans in the arena up.
I have to be honest, though, whilst they are getting behind Roger, there's a lot of support here for Rafa as well.
Oh, no doubt. I thought it was about even, the introductions. Nadal still thinking about the last game. Very mad at himself.
And it has cooled down considerably on court. Just sort of feel the moisture in the air now. It's not raining, but it has cooled.
Remember at Wimbledon when Federer beat Andy Murray, the rains came when they closed the roof mid-match. Federer played much better after that. He wasn't in a 2 sets at all, but he did close it out in 4 sets under the roof.
Horrendous errors from the Federer forehand.
Nadal let him back in the set. Roger in danger of giving the gift right back. That would be a pretty devastating break. 2 chances for Rafa. He's got 3 left. This would be a good time to use one. And the serve was long. So break point, second serve coming. Wow. Serve the volley to Nadal, had a terrible return. Look, these guys are both battling themselves right now.
At the moment,
each other.
yeah. This is the scratchiest tennis of the night, really, right here, the last couple games.
By far. That was pretty nice, though.
Yeah, yeah. A sweet little low volley as Federer just moves away from it beautifully. Game point.
So Federer backs up in his first break of the match. Jumps in front 3-2. Party still going on outside the Rod Laver Arena as they're watching on the big screen. 15,000 fortunate ticket holders inside. Watching Federer just try to hang on. Crucial to fight off 2 break points in the last game after Nadal probably thought what you thought and what we thought, and most people in here thought. This thing's about over and got this one. Let's see if Federer can make him pay the price for that last sloppy service game. It's not like you begin game planning for Wawrinka, but just that little drop in intensity when you see not a whole lot coming from the other side at the moment.
Yeah,
That's the transition play. You know, we talked about at the beginning of the match. Federer has been brilliant on that kind of move, but against Nadal, it's just a different kind of animal. What he brings to the table, and Federer just pressing that extra bit is causing him to make more errors. He knows he's got to make the approach, the transition perfect.
He was a lot more effective up against Joe Wilfried Songa and also Andy Murray, and I believe he won over 30% of the total points won in the match up at the net in those two matches.
That's right, Darren. It's actually about a third of them. And it's well under that tonight.
That's been the sort of service game that's been routine from Nadal the last set and a half. Even through later in the first set as well, he was holding comfortably. Had one loose game just early in this set. It was the last service game before that one. And Federer's still in it here in the third set at 3-all.
Jumped up high to hit that miss-hit return. Didn't quite get a clean enough hit. Nadal within 4 sets, winning sets, of a double career Grand Slam. 2 Aussies, 2 U.S., and 2 Wimbledon to go with his 8 Roland Garros titles. Rocket Rod just above us in his seat, the last man to do that. Roy Emerson also did it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a courtesy to both players.
But for Nadal fans, that would add further fuel to the debate of who's the greatest of all time, as he would try to close the gap on Roger in all-time Slam titles, get within 3.
34.
How long can Federer just hang on here by his fingernails? Break point again. A dismissive wave of the left hand from Federer. After that, skips long. Nadal's in front again.
11 total.
Not even on the board because he didn't play majors after turning pro is Rod Laver himself. Nadal 1 ahead of the Aussie Emerson. He can match Pete Sampras again, who's here tonight, if he wins the final on Sunday. And all of these encounters at the Slams have a bigger component. The historic one, something that's not lost on either of these guys. Trust us.
Well, Nadal's record also in Davis Cup has been amazing. He's helped Spain win the Davis Cup a couple of times. Obviously the Olympics as well.
He's got the Olympic gold in singles. Federer has one in doubles. Nadal has the most Masters 1000 titles. Federer has far more titles, period, and more weeks at #1. But it's the major titles.
Yeah, Federer's got
that's what you judge greatness by in this modern era.
And Federer's got the edge in longevity. He's still at 32 right here at the top level.
Stepped around and absolutely slap-shotted that forehand return. A little frustration, Ed?
I think so. I remember he did that early on. He stepped around and cranked a forehand very early, but he hasn't done that very often. And Nadal's done that plenty often. Serve to the backhand, short reply, and pounce on the forehand. How many times has he done this?
What, tonight or in his career against Roger?
Both. Well inside the baseline to take that forehand. That's only the second backhand winner of the night for Federer. Took it right off the bounce, met it cleanly. You have to time that perfectly. It's got so much action on it. And he can't do it on that one. Nadal just goes right back to work. So if you can do it again off that wing, go for it.
Game point for 5-3.
Absolutely relentless.
Closing the roof, guys. It's moved considerably to the point where it's actually closed a lot. So obviously with rain in the area, they're getting ready.
Now Nadal's trying to close out Federer.
Yeah, that might happen before the roof closes at this rate.
The roof inches shut, but it's not moving that slowly. Federer's chance of getting back in this.
Oh, what a shot.
He read the serve very well, stepped around and made it a brutal forehand. He was moving when the ball toss was in the air.
He was behind the Melbourne sign. He's so far back, and yet he still generates so much power. $124-mile-an-hour ace. That's number 8.
Got it. A challenge for Federer. Off the racket, it looked like it was going wide. It was wide.
40-15.
They challenge that again.
That was scorched.
The frozen rope from outside the court.
43.
And normally he takes this one cross court, but he says, all right, I can take a rip down the line too.
That was over the net height, but it was outside the net post. Successful tactic tonight, approaching Rafa's forehand.
Well, Federer, because of that, Chris, he's gone too much to the forehand. He's won just over 50% of the points in net, and that's just not good enough.
Notice the points in this set.
5 for 13 in this set, yeah. It's gotten progressively worse.
Nadal is 2 points from the match.
Nadal's only won 30%, but he, as you noted earlier, Chris, he's not looking to get to the net tonight.
That's long. Nadal on the brink of another Grand Slam final and a 23rd win over his rival.
So fast with his speed and the racket on the dead run.
Got Tony out of his seat. A second chance to close it right now. Now 2014, many things are new for Roger Federer. Many things are just the same for Rafael Nadal. Ruthless, and I like your word, Patrick, relentless tonight.
Well, a dominant display and always respectful as Nadal, his opponent, but he just comes to play when it really matters most. And a tight opening set, very well fought opening set from both guys, and I think Federer's got a lot to build on for this year.
He's trying to smile, but this one stings a lot. Team Fedberg will begin to look forward to 2014, hoping they don't see the guy on the other side too many times.
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, the last two sets were vintage Nadal, and it's amazing what this man's been able to do. And still, you have to keep in perspective, Chris, the fact that he wasn't here last year.
Yeah.
He didn't play this tournament because of that knee injury, and the comeback he's come since then has just been remarkable.
Rivalries sometimes bring out the best in both parties. Not this one. Clearly, Nadal rises to his absolute pinnacle when Federer's on the other side. And now Nadal jumps ahead of the trophy presenter on Sunday, Pete Sampras, in terms of most major finals, equaling Ivan Lendl, who's still in town. Federer still has a 5-final lead, but they'll be hoping that Stan Wawrinka can stop Rafa, because
wow, that's
the argument will only heat up as to who the greatest of all time is with this result here and the potential for a Nadal title here on Sunday.
Well, imagine also if you go ahead a step or two, and if Nadal does win this, and then he's going to Paris looking for his 15th, and all of a sudden it starts to become very realistic for him to chase down Federer pretty soon with the way he's looking on the hard courts. And Stan Wawrinka's had an amazing tournament, of course, beating Djokovic in 5, beating Berdych in 4 tough sets. But what a test it'll be against Nadal.
Let's go Jim Courier with Rafa.
Rafa, you and Roger have now played each other 33 times. You know each other so well. What was the key for you in this match tonight?
Well, first of all, play with Roger always is a very special feeling. No, he's probably the opponent that when I go court I have very, very emotional feelings. Ever we played a lot of times for important things in our career, and today was another important match. He's a really great champion, and for me, it's a really honor being in the same era like him.
And the first set, it was so tight. How'd you get over the line in that first set and then take control of the match?
Well, in the first set was tough. It's true that I had a few break points before that tiebreak. It's true that he has a love 32 before the tiebreak, and I think at the end we played a really tough rallies at the end of the first set that I think I resisted really well, because he was trying to play very aggressive, hitting the ball great, taking the ball very early, so it was a difficult thing, and I tried to resist, insisting a little bit more against his back, and then trying to change to down the line. And I think tonight I played my best match of the tournament, so very happy for that.
How about the hand? In the match before with Dimitrov, you had a different bandage on your hand. Today it's a little bit less. How is that feeling on the court today versus the other matches?
Well, too much talk about the blister. The blister is okay. No, the problem, as I said the other day, is the position of the blister. No, that is difficult to cover. To do normal life, the blister is 100% perfect to play tennis at best of 5 against these best players of the world. Always is a big challenge, and is another thing. No, but we try to make the bandage a little bit less, shorter than the other day, and work it really well. And so very, very happy now, and just can say thank you very much, everybody. You know, after missing. After missing last year, for me, it's really, really emotional to be back on this court, Rod Laver Arena, and be able to play another final. So very, very happy, and thank you very much, everybody, for the support. It was just very amazing for me.
As we look ahead now, you're into the final again, and you're going, if you win, you would win your 14th major title. That ties you with Pete Sampras if you do that. I don't know if you know, Pete was here watching the match tonight. It's the first time he's seen you and Roger play live against each other. What would it mean to you to be on the same level with Pete Sampras as far as majors won?
Well, first of all, remain a very tough opponent in front. Wawrinka is playing just amazing, winning a fantastic match against Novak, yesterday against Berdych, so he should come to this final with a big confidence now. And I never thought about having 13 Grand Slams already, so I never thought about having 14. But the only thing that I can swear is I'm gonna try my best.
We're sure of that, and we'll look forward to that. So you're playing against Stan. He's playing with incredible confidence, the best confidence of his life for sure. What do you think you need to do well in that match?
I need to keep playing great. No, you know, at the end, I know it will be a very, very tough opponent. His serve is huge, he's serving great, and he's hitting the ball very hard. And I need to try to play aggressive, trying to let him play not easy positions. That's always very difficult because he's a very strong guy, and I'm gonna try to play aggressive and play a little bit the same way that I played tonight.
Last question: Is your girlfriend gonna make the trip in, watch the final?
No, it's too far.
It's too far. Well, she'll get a chance to watch you like we will. Another great match tonight. The great Rafael Nadal is into another final here.
And is within 3 sets of a double career Grand Slam. Stan Wawrinka, the Swiss who's lived in Federer's shadow, must try to win 3 sets against Nadal on Sunday. He has won 0 in his life, head-to-head, 12-0 Nadal.
It's going to be tough to do it for the first time in a major final as well. So he's going to have his hands full, but as Rafa said, he's playing the tennis of his life.
More from Rafa, more analysis on what this means for both men. But SportsCenter is coming up right now. We'll see you back soon from Melbourne.
This is SportsCenter Live.
Good morning. Just about 6:24 Eastern Time. Welcome in fresh live SportsCenter. He's Kevin Negandhi. I'm Jade McCarthy. In his brother's memory, Colton Moore had a golden night at the X Games Aspen. See his amazing performance coming up. But
yeah, the match you just saw, Rafael Nadal, Roger Federer meeting for the 33rd time. It is our highlight of the morning, taking us down under the Australian Open Grand Slam semifinals. And for the 11th time in their great careers, Nadal, Federer squaring off in a Grand Slam match. But it's really been on one side favoring the Spaniard. Nadal, 22-10 overall versus Federer, 8-2 in Grand Slams, 2-0 in the Australian Open. First set, Federer up 4-3 after an extended rally. Good movement. Nadal takes a stretch forehand down the line, forcing the air. The first set would go to a tiebreak. The great Pete Sampras watching on. He commented.
These guys are good. They really are amazing. Rafa is a great player. He moves phenomenal. Roger is playing well. His serve sort of left him in the tiebreaker.
Nadal would win the first set 7-6, dealing with a blister on his left hand. And that took some speed off his serve. It would affect him, but we'll see how it continued, showing no issues there. Unreturnable serve up the tee. Nadal again, the ace. Down the tee, and Nadal's wide serve simply too much for Federer. Serving well throughout. Second set now, short rally. Nadal, the cross-court backhand winner, and then a baseline rally. Nadal inside-out forehand winner. Simply too good. Oh, wow. Later in the set, 5-3 Nadal. Nadal pushing Federer, finishing with the winner down the line. Nadal wins the second set 6-3. Third set, Federer trying. I mean, he's lost 4 of the last 5 Grand Slam semis. Down 5-3. Serving in the far court. Federer coming to the net. Nadal, beautiful passing shot. And match point short rally, you would see Federer, though, would hit it long. Nadal, he's won the last 11 Grand Slam semifinals. Third time in his career he's going to the Australian Open finals. For Federer, he reached the semifinals at the Aussie Open in 11 straight years. He cannot advance, losing for the 9th time in 11 matches against Nadal in a Grand Slam event. And you see Nadal now 3-0 at the Aussie Open, matched up against Roger Federer. It will be the 19th appearance for Rafael Nadal in a Grand Slam final. And he faces off with Stan Wawrinka on the other side, the Swiss man, the 8th seed. That matchup Sunday, 3 a.m. Eastern time on ESPN. For much more, I'm going to say good morning from the States. Good evening to our colleague, Chris McKendry.
Well, good evening, good morning to you and all of the above. Yes, it's getting closer and closer to midnight here down under. With Brad Gilbert, I'm Chris McKendry. Brad, what Federer did tonight or tried to do against Nadal, it worked so well in the previous 2 rounds. We saw him against Jo-Wilfried Tsonga, Andy Murray win a third of his points by approaching the net. Couldn't do it tonight.
Well, first of all, I actually thought Roger Federer played very good tennis. Except for tonight, on the other side of the net, it wasn't Andy Murray, it wasn't Tsonga, it was a beast mode, Rafael Nadal, and he had great success coming in those last couple of matches. Different story against Rafael Nadal. And a few times when he did force his way in, that led to trouble. And to me, no matter what you throw at Nadal, the way he's playing on this court right now, he is so tough to play. Let's take a look at the first set package here, where I felt like Roger had good tactics, but just a couple of times with opportunities. Look at this approach. A little bit short, leaves the line open, buried. Once again, here's another one where he has opportunity, kind of forces his way in. Easy passing shot. So when you come in with Rafa, you gotta come in with some heat. And this was another unbelievable point. Look at this backhand cross at 15-30, 5-3 in the second. Better forehand. And let's take a look at the numbers from this match. And the big one down at the bottom, 4-14, but 73% second serve points won by Rafa. I don't understand why Roger didn't take a few more risks on second serve returns.
And that was definitely his tactic coming in. He wanted to be more aggressive, wanted to take more risk, and just didn't do it, where sometimes there was opportunity. Tom Rinaldi's joining us now. He's down courtside once again with Rafa Nadal.
Chris, thank you very much. Rafa, we've seen you play a lot of big matches, many matches against Roger, but how would you describe your level of play tonight?
Well, thank you very much. I think I played the best match of the tournament. If not, it's impossible to win against Roger. No? So I hit a lot of very difficult shots, good ones. I tried to play aggressive with my forehand, with my backhand too. So very happy the way that I play. No? Being in the final of the first Grand Slam of the season is just amazing for me, very emotional after missing this tournament last year. So just thank you very much.
I know you never like to talk about injury or your hand right now, but where is the blister in your hand, in your mind, as you play?
Well, the blister is here. The only problem is the position on the blister that is tough to cover. No, but the blister is okay. No, I don't feel pain, so that's the most important thing. The only problem that I had is very difficult to stick the protection in that place. No, but for the rest, the blister is, I think, is very good.
We look so forward to when you match up against Roger. What, if anything, is special or different for you, even as you have to try to win a match?
To play against him? Well, always is a really honor. No, I think we play at most important years of our careers. We competed for the best tournaments of the world a lot of times. So that makes always this match very, very special. No, very emotional, creates a special atmosphere. So for me, be at the same era than Roger is a very special thing. No, so just. I'm proud to be with him playing on court again.
We talked about this a couple of days ago. A year ago, you weren't here, had to watch at home. What's it like to be a match away here from winning this after not being able to be here a year ago?
Well, today, I want to enjoy the match of today, the victory of today. It always is amazing when you have the chance to beat a player like Roger and in the semifinals of Grand Slam. Like I said before, for me to start the season playing a final of the first Grand Slam of the year in Australia is unbelievable. Remain one more match against a very, very tough opponent. He's playing unbelievable, winning unbelievable matches. If I not play my best, I will not have chances. I'm going to try my best. I'm sure that I'm going to try. We'll see if I'm able to keep playing well.
As Darren Cahill said, at one point, it really wasn't about the way Roger Federer was playing. It was about the way this man played. We appreciate it as always, Rafa.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Chris and Patrick.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I think you have to put this right with some of the better performances we've ever seen from Nadal. You know, Federer didn't face a break point against Andy Murray in the quarters until the last game when he tried to serve it out. And in the third set, Nadal created chances, Patrick, but he basically gave Federer the only two break chances of the match that Roger saw. He was able to cash one of them in. How about adapting to the conditions, serving and returning?
Well, Nadal's been so good at that, hasn't he, over the years, which is why he's now playing to try to win his second Australian Open. He's won 2 Wimbledons. He's won 8 Frenches. He's won 2 U.S. Opens. So he just continues to get it done. For Federer, when he got those breakpoint chances, or really when Nadal gave them to him, he was really
pretty much out of the match at that point. And Rafa was so impressive in the way he served, the way he had Federer on the run. And Roger came out with a clear game plan, which was to be more aggressive, to attack the way he did in his previous matches. But once he lost that first set, I think his intensity dropped a little bit emotionally. And when you do that against Nadal, you're just up against it. And really the last 2 sets, it was steamroll city.
Now in the final, Nadal gets another Swiss guy, but a guy who's playing in his very first Grand Slam final, and a guy who's been even less successful head-to-head against Nadal than Federer. Never taken a set in the 12 head-to-head. So what does Stan have to do? He's been playing great tennis. He took out Djokovic. What does he have to do to get into the match and win?
Well, he's got a lot of firepower from the ground. He's got a huge firepower off the backhand. So that heavy forehand from Rafa is going to go into that strength zone of Wawrinka. Wawrinka, look, he's in his first final. Most players, unless they're all-time greats, struggle a little bit with their nerves in their first final. Now you got to go up against Nadal. I guess you could look at it and say, I got nothing to lose because I've never won a set off him. He has to serve big. He has to attack off both wings. He's got the kind of game that if he plays well in these conditions, I think can really give Nadal trouble. Kei Nishikori had a very tight match with him. Dimitrov really tested him. And I think Wawrinka has the shots and the firepower to do it. Can he do it in a final for the first time? That is a huge question mark.
Yeah, he's waited a long time. He's worked very hard to get to this position for the first time in his career. He's 28 years old. He will walk in as a massive underdog because I don't care what all-time great you put on the court in their prime against Rafa tonight, Chris and Brad, it would have been a heck of a match.
It certainly would have been. Chris and Patrick, thanks. Great call on the match, too. And it's interesting to note, now for the first time since 2001, with his loss here tonight and Stan Wawrinka's victory and his move into the finals, Roger Federer is no longer the #1 Swiss in the world. That will go to Stan Wawrinka. So why don't you give us some perspective? What kind of an upset would that be?
If the Stanimal beat Rafa, call Buster Douglas. That would be Buster Douglas over Tyson. I mean, you've lost 27 consecutive sets, and Rafa playing great tennis, Stan playing great tennis, but it would still be one of the great upsets in tennis history.
All right, well, you want to watch then, because that would be a remember where you were moment. Before we go, Brad, put this also in historical perspective. If Rafa wins on Sunday, 14 Grand Slams, only man in the Open era to complete the career Grand Slam twice. Roger's sitting there at 17 Grand Slam titles, and so often he's called the greatest ever. Where does this put Rafa?
Immediately, not so fast, considering Rafa has owned him now head-to-head 23-10, much better results in Davis Cup, Olympics. To me, at 17-14, I would have to say that this is if Rafa wins Sunday night. His resume now is every bit as good, if not better.
All right, we'll take that and talk around the water cooler for the next couple of days as we send it back to SportsCenter. We go so long from Melbourne Park, and we'll see you back here for the ladies' final. It's 3 a.m. Eastern Time, ESPN. Kevin and Jade.
Chris, Brad, thank you so much. This is what both players are playing for, a spot in the history books. Of course, Pete Sampras was in the stands in Melbourne. Roger Federer has already passed him. And Nadal stands on the doorstep with 13 titles to his credit now. And standing in his way is Stan Wawrinka, a man who has never taken a set. We'll see if Brad is right. Buster Douglas over Mike Tyson. It would be an epic upset. Of course, SportsCenter, we are live this morning, and we will have much more coverage from Melbourne. Live news conferences from both sides ahead. And more on Roger Federer now. Falling short once again. Nadal passing him and advancing to the Australian Open finals. Reaction continues down under after this.